So I'm sitting in my office today and I suddenly remember one of my favorite sci-fi philosophy connections, and I have to wonder why I didn't think of it before for this playlist. It's Thomas Kuhn in Jurassic Park. Now, I like the films, but I'm talking about the book by Michael Crichton. I think it's a great book. I've read it, 3 or 4 times. It's a very good book. Kuhn. For those who don't know Kuhn, or for those who think they do but don't, I need to explain a couple of things. Thomas Kuhn has this reputation for being the philosopher of science who thinks that science is not objective, it's subjective. Well, that's a myth. That's not what Kuhn says. You could have a position that science is entirely objective. Karl Popper has that position. The logical positivists have that position, though Popper and the positivists disagree on some things. And you could have the position that science is totally subjective. And that's someone else, but it's not Kuhn. Kuhn is in the middle. Kuhn is somewhere over here somewhere. Kuhn doesn't say that science is purely subjective, but he does say that science don't have a purely neutral way of looking at the world. Scientists view the world through paradigms. A paradigm is a way of looking at the world, but it's also a scientific theory. The paradigms are the governing scientific theories in any particular field. So he lists quite a few paradigms, many from the history of science, not all from contemporary science. And let's just take a convenient example from physics. Well, a string of examples from physics. In Newtonian physics, space is absolute. That's one paradigm. In Einstein's physics, Einsteinian relativity, space is not absolute. That's a different paradigm, a different way of looking at the world, and it's a different way of interpreting the data. Scientists who hold to the Newtonian paradigm interpret data accordingly, and they have a hard time understanding the way Einsteinian relativists would interpret the world, and they interpret the same data differently. And then after Einstein, in quantum physics, with characters like Stephen Hawking, in these more recent days, physics has a new paradigm that's not exactly Einsteinian or Newtonian. Now, let's go to the text. Not Kuhn's Structure of Scientific Revolution. It's an important book. But let's go to Jurassic Park, another important book. In Jurassic Park, you have a pretty obvious reference to Kuhn, where the word paradigm is used. I believe it was from Malcom, Ian Malcom, the gadfly, the voice of doom, the prophetic character, also the mathematician guy, Jeff Goldblum in the films. Ian Malcom is the one who mentions the word paradigm, and it's a fairly obvious reference to Kuhn. But the really interesting Kuhnian moment in the text is something else from Malcom. There had been this moment, fairly early in the text, as I recall, where Malcom explains to the confident scientists and engineers on the island that they're wrong, that things are not under their control. And they say, no, things are under our control. Check the computers. Count the dinosaurs. We're counting the dinosaurs constantly. And they show Malcom how they ask the computer to check the dinosaurs and make sure the right number's there. And the right number's there. And they take this as evidence that everything's okay. And Malcom says, now I see your problem. But he doesn't tell them the problem yet. He keeps them and the reader guessing for quite a few pages. Eventually, he explains the problem. And here's what he does. He tells them, ask the computer to look for the wrong number of dinosaurs. I don't remember the numbers. I'm going to just guess some numbers here. They're supposed to have, let's say, 162 dinosaurs on the island. So Malcom tells them, try looking for 200 dinosaurs. And they look for 200 dinosaurs, and they find 195. Find the wrong number of dinosaurs. There's too many compies, too many velociraptors, and so on. And Malcom explains to them that the problem was they were seeing what they were looking for. They were seeing what they were looking for. The number of dinosaurs they tell the computer to search for is the paradigm. It's how they were seeing the world. It's how they were interpreting the data. And it prevented them from knowing the truth. Now, this, I think, is a very good illustration of Kuhn. And maybe it's not the best, but the best illustrations of Kuhn are probably to be found by reading Kuhn's book, The Structure of Scientific Revolution. But this is unquestionably the funnest illustration of Kuhn I could ever have imagined.